Have you ever lost your name from the most important person in your life who you have been with for many years? I've told myself many times that it's just because of my age, but the truth is, I was lonely, painful, and I couldn't stand it. But that day, under the blanket, the warmth of my husband suddenly changed everything. This is a miracle-like morning story that my wife, who was about to be forgotten, was able to touch my husband's heart again as a woman and as a wife. Before we get into the story, I'd like to ask you to stop the video and subscribe to my channel, and I'd appreciate it if you could watch it with a high rating button. He was kind, reliable, and a little clumsy, but he was a really kind person. Even if I didn't say anything when I looked a little tired, he would quietly give me a bowl of warm miso soup. But 3 years ago, my husband said, that's why I didn't care much. But eventually my name, Yoshimi, didn't come out of my husband's mouth until then. Yoshimi tea. Yoshimi, come here for a second. As time went on, he started calling me. Do you know how lonely and sad that is? Do you know how lonely and sad that is? Even if you don't change the way you look, you should have seen me as a decent wife and as a single person. Even if you don't change the way you look, you should have seen me as a decent wife and as a single person. Before I knew it, I was looking at something that wasn't me somewhere in the distance. And finally, my husband was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And from then on, it was like slowly but certainly. I don't call my name anymore. It is the only thing I can do. Can you imagine how much it strengthens and tightens my chest? In the past, just being called Yoshimi by him made my chest feel warm. In the echo of Yoshimi that Kyoichi speaks of, I felt that my existence was certainly and preciously enveloped now. Even if I wave my hand in front of him, even if I look at his face with concern, he just gives me a hollow look, as if he were looking at the sky outside the window. Even if I put the miso soup he liked on the table in front of him, he doesn't say anything anymore. As time went on, I felt a deep sense of loneliness, as if my own heart and my body as a woman had been left behind in a distant place. I reflected in the mirror, had engraved a 72-year-old reality deep into his face. Even the faint spots, even the age-old face line were no longer seen by anyone as a woman. I was about to give up my body, but suddenly, after my husband fell asleep, when I gently slid my fingertips on the collar of my pajamas in a lonely bedroom, I felt a faint but certain heat slowly rising from my fingertips. It was a sweet, sweet warmth. Even if he didn't call my name, even if I was disappearing in my husband, even then within me, the faint heat still reminded me, within my husband, little by little, I faded, became thin, and quietly disappeared. Even so, I wanted to continue being his wife. I didn't just want to take care of him. I just wanted to continue being his wife. A wife who loves her husband, who is losing his memory. Even if you forget about me, the long time I have loved you so deeply will never disappear. Believing so strongly, I continued to call my husband's name today. No matter how many times he didn't answer, I can still vividly remember him. The season was just spring, and the soft morning sun through the curtains of the window gently warmed the air in the bedroom. I slowly woke up as usual. I listened to the sound of the tofu casserole. I first went to the kitchen, and as usual, I poured the fragrant hoji tea into the pot. Then I went back to the bedroom to see how my husband was doing. And there I saw what I had forgotten for a long time. But it was certainly a familiar sign of my husband's morning. The shape of the blanket was tightly and powerfully raised. I stopped on the spot without thinking. I thought it was a mistake.
So I got one step closer and took a deep breath. It was as if he was still young. He had a strong and dignified presence, like he did at that time. Recently, my husband sometimes can't even recognize my face, and he often forgets what he has eaten. But the proof of his life in front of me was as if he was telling me, I'm still here. I'm still alive. It was as if he was talking to me powerfully. The feeling of warmth and rustling spread throughout my body. It was as if I had touched the breath of life directly from the frozen ground. The green wind tower and the wind tower were born powerfully to feel the breath of life directly. I gently put the obon I was holding on the bedside table and held the blanket in my hand. For some reason, I quietly lowered my waist to the side of my husband's sleeping bed. For some reason, my body was moving, as if I was being pulled by something. As a symbol of warmth, I unconsciously extended my hand, gently from the top of the blanket, as if checking, as if tracing. I slide my fingertips, and it is hard, thick, and slightly, I thought, kikun, it came to my palm, I was surprised, and tried to pull my hand. However, in my heart, a small but certain flame seemed to be lit and did not let me do so. With my trembling fingertips, this time, I gently pinched the edge of the blanket and turned it over just a little. Then there was a certain figure who should have forgotten everything to seem to be able to quietly, but certainly welcome me this morning. I did not say anything. I did not think about anything. I just closed my eyes. Then I gently touched the lower abdomen of my husband. As if treating fragile glass materials, gently, I stroked him. His body was under my palm, slowly heating up, and the proof of a certain life, I made him cry. Tokun, Mr. Kyoichi. Tanata. Did you respond to my voice? Suddenly, then, his voice. Just a second ago. Just a little, like a light, like could shine on me, and it faded. He said to me like I couldn't move, as if time had stopped, as if I had frozen. I couldn't believe it. Now certainly my name has been called. How long has it been since such a thing? For the past few years, I have been treated as you, or a little, or someone with no name. The existence of Yoshimi, who is treated as someone, should have completely disappeared from my husband's world. I looked into his face from the very side, desperately holding back my overflowing tears. Mr. Kyoichi. Do you recognize me? It's me, Yoshimi. When I called out in a trembling voice, my husband slowly closed his heavy eyelids, but whispered again, clearly, Yoshimi, I love you, Yo. The voice that reached to the bottom of my heart, even though it was sharp and thin. I put my hands on my husband's shoulders, unexpectedly, because of the helpless love that pierced my chest, warm. I still have feelings for him. I didn't forget him. The moment I thought that I couldn't take it anymore, I put my face on his chest, killed my voice, and cried. On my husband's slightly dry skin, my tears fell drop by drop, creating a small transparent stream, and then I gently kissed his cheek. Thank you, Mr. Kyoichi. Thank you so much for not forgetting me. In the soft light of the spring morning, the memories of love that were quietly but certainly exchanged. From that day on, I was no longer afraid of the loneliness that I would face alone. The next morning, my husband called my name miraculously and whispered to me that he loved me. It was only for a while, but it was as if he had returned to his calm and gentle self. When I wiped my tears and raised my head, he stared at my eyes, and a truly gentle smile suddenly came to mind. Thank you, Mr. Kyoichi. That one word gently permeated deep into the depths of my heart, and I felt as if it would gently dissolve all the long and sometimes painful days of care and all the loneliness. But unfortunately, that little miracle didn't last long. When I finished preparing breakfast and went back to my husband, he looked at me again with his eyes a little gloomy as usual, and just stared at the movement of the curtain swaying outside the window. My voice saying, it was as if it had not reached his ears anymore, and it felt like a remnant of a distant past. Even so, I was not as depressed as I had been before. It may have been just a few minutes, but that morning I was able to touch the deepest part of his heart. That unwavering truth became a great, great force for me to live alone in the days of care that will continue in the future. I sat quietly next to him, and I gently held his hand.
He just accepted it without saying anything. Just the warmth of that faint hand was enough for me. I'm sure there will come a time when our hearts will overlap again, like that morning. With such a small hope in my heart, I decided again in my heart that I would continue to face him firmly. He was never a coincidence. I still believe so. That morning, Yoshimi, a memory that came back to my husband's mind with just one word.
Since then, the symptoms of my husband's cognitive impairment have not recovered dramatically. Sometimes I don't even know my face clearly. But strangely enough, sometimes at random moments, he calls my name. When I pour tea and gently serve it in front of him. Thank you, Yoshimi. When we go out in the garden and play hide and seek together, Yoshimi. It's warm today. And in the futon before going to bed at night.
Yoshimi, aren't you cold? It's like a fragment of a long, long time of memory with me that's still in my husband's mind. It's like it's coming up slowly from the depths of my body. Every time that happens, my chest feels like it's going to overflow with warm tears. I'm sure memory isn't just a memory in the brain. It may be engraved deep, deep in my heart and in this body. The connection with me that his body remembered that morning. The moment when I was able to touch it. Even now, we're both gently but certainly connected, I believe, so I don't know what's going to happen to my husband's memory from now on. Maybe the day will come when he'll never call my name again. Or maybe what happened today will disappear without a trace tomorrow still. I'm not afraid of it, as I used to be, because it's like that miracle of that morning. It's because you told me, clearly. Love is not just a word or a certain memory. It's a heart-to-heart, and it's a skin-to-skin communication. That certain warmth when I hugged him, his body's heartbeat that certainly responded to my hand, and that faint voice that called me Yoshimi. Even if you forget everything, I don't care. I remember all the many, many precious days I spent with you in me, and it never disappears. I've come to think of it that way. I've been more calm than ever before. I live my day to the fullest, no matter what state my husband is in today. I'm still by his side. I'm going to keep telling him about love. That doesn't become words while touching him gently. Still, people's hearts and bodies are really mysterious. I'm sure you've forgotten your name. I can't believe the warmth of just one body can bring you back. The moment I saw Yoshimi again in Kyoichi's eyes. It's been a long, long time. I was so happy that my heart was about to burst. We're getting older. Maybe it's more meaningful to just be quiet next to you and touch you gently than to exchange words. A lot of feelings that can't be expressed in words can be conveyed through the skin. The memories of being deeply loved by someone. Even if you've forgotten it, it's probably in the depths of that person's body. It may be something that remains quietly, but certainly. Try to hold hands with the person next to you. Just that alone will warm your frozen heart. I'm sure there's something that warms your frozen heart. I hope this little story of mine can gently touch the loneliness and anxiety that you may be carrying right now. I hope you can light a little warm light. And if you have a similar experience or something you want to tell someone,
Please let me know in the comments. Did you enjoy a moment of sweetness and a little bit of bitterness tonight? The more the night goes by, the more the hearts of men, women, and people slowly and deeply unravel. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end.